Welcome back to the Cheryl Reeve Show. We are doing a show from Cheryl's office today. Next show will be live at the Free House, our sponsor, June 11th, 6 p.m. Get there early for happy hour. Get there late, and we will still be talking. Come by, say hello. We will give away hats and T-shirts. And Cheryl, of course, is always great about meeting fans and talking hoops or whatever else you would like to hear about. Even when we are not there, please check out the Free House. That's on Washington Avenue in the North Loop, one of our favorite places. As they say, breakfast to beer. We have experienced the full gamut. We have tested everything, and we can highly recommend the Free House, and we appreciate their support on this show. Check out talknorth.com for all the shows. As we start talking to national advertisers, we're going to ask you a favor. If you get a chance to listen to our shows by downloading as opposed to just streaming them, we would appreciate the download. That is what national advertisers are looking for. We want to make this show and the network a success. You can help in that way, and we do appreciate it. Cheryl, we are talking, you are 2-3 at the moment, and I'm interested. I've never seen you. I don't think I've ever been around you when you had a losing record. I'm not sure you've ever had a losing record, so just tell me what that's like.
I was here in 2010 and we had a losing record.
Oh, good point.
So.
It has been since 2010. You're right.
I think it's uncharted water for this team this early in the season. So, it's not where we wanted to be, coming out of the gates, and, but it's where we find ourselves. And I think more than anything, what we're trying to focus on is improving and understanding, where we are, maybe putting ourselves in a hornet's nest that we can make things a little bit better for ourselves. And, there's a handful of things, it's not just one or two things. There's quite a few that, that I think, maybe caught us off guard, coming out of training camp, but nonetheless, here we are. And, the schedule is not very forgiving. This is, after we played our first 2 home games, 6 of 7 on the road, 6 of 9 to start the season. So we knew it would be a challenge, even if we had a well-oiled machine. So, we're not the well-oiled machine that we had been accustomed to being. But we are, we're going to lock in and work on winning the next game, which is against Phoenix.
We will get into more details about the Lynx and some other topics, but I got to ask you, how many burner accounts do you have?
I don't even know anything about that stuff. It was just crazy. It's just
amazing?
Crazy. I just thought, how bizarre is this? I hope the heck that it's not. There's no truth to it.
Me too.
I hope that, maybe this is like a Russian or something like that. That's, kind of hacking.
That would never happen. Yeah. Russians would never hack our social media.
Point. That's a good point. So I'm hopeful that it's something bizarre like that. Fingers crossed.
So, Maya came right here from China, short training camp. How's she playing, and do you see any fatigue in her?
I don't see fatigue at all in Maya. I think that, with this group, and I think Maya probably is near the top at when I've coached a lot of players that how they feel, as far as like the interactions with the group and the connection and that sort of thing, she really feeds off of that. And so I think our team, has had moments, really good moments that, that we've shared that we've been able to feed off of that, and Maya's look good. And then there's other times that, maybe there's a little bit more of a disconnect that we're not accustomed to. And that kind of knocks Maya off her stride sometimes. So, but I think Maya looks good. If you look at her first 5 games last year and her first 5 games this year, she's ahead of the game, and just continuing to evolve. And, obviously we need her.
When we talked after the opening game loss, where your team had a chance to win but had 24 turnovers, you were a little steamed. At this point, are you still pushing them hard, or you're backing off a little bit? How do you handle it as a coach?
Well, we're after the first game, it was a little more disappointing that the types of turnovers were within our control. Certainly LA is a good defensive team, but we just didn't come out and each game I could give you. Kind of afterwards identification of what went wrong. That game, we just did not play at a high level. We did play at a high level in our very next game against Dallas. Our offense went south in the second half. And so, I think at this point, we can say that, our offense has just not been, as efficient and as good and as dangerous and hard to guard as we're accustomed to. So that's, again, I didn't see that coming. And that's what we're trying to work through right now, that our opponents are, very, very concerted effort to make Sylvia's life more difficult. That was not a surprise to us. I talked to Syl about that. We saw it in the preseason. that you should expect that life is going to get really, really difficult down there. And she still has to be successful, much like she was in the finals. LA tried to take her out of many, many things through double and triple teams, and she still found ways to be successful. And so, she's not, where she was last year. That has to happen for us. And then also we've got some players around her that are struggling from the field that, is just making life a little more difficult and has caused us to be a little less efficient. Not executing, in the last 5 minutes of a game on offense, turning it over or not getting the shot we want, not executing the play that we have. It just puts a lot of pressure on our defense. And 2 times now, buzzer beaters have kind of bitten us. So, we don't turn it over or, you could do this probably in every game, but, we get a stop against LA or if we get the foul on, maybe we win the game, same thing, with Atlanta, but, and we'd be here 4-1, and you wouldn't be saying that we had a losing record, but we're not. And that's what I told our team. I mean, we're not going to go by that. We're, we needed to do things better and control our own destiny a little bit more.
Sylvia is racking up the double doubles. Is that an important stat to you?
Oh, it's huge. Her field goal percentage is a very important stat to me. So where she is statistically, she is the leading rebounder in the WNBA, as she should be. And so she's doing that at a high level. And then the rate, the field goal percentage is critical that, when she's double and triple team and she's still shooting above 60%, that's a really good thing for us. So we've got to find ways to keep getting her the ball because I don't want the defense to win. And because every time Syl doesn't shoot, the defense is finding that to be a success. And so, we got to have some level of balance to what we're doing. Sometimes when you have such a dominant center like that who had such great success, you start to think you can just throw it in and just watch her. And we stand. And so again, we have some habits that we're trying to break. It's not intentional. We know we need to move around her. We know we got to get her in spots where if she has to pass it out, that it's an easy decision for her. So, again, this caught us by surprise a little bit in terms of the offense. Been pleased with our defense. Even though we didn't get 2 stops at end of games, that's not been what our difficulties. That's not where they lie.
How do you feel about the bench right now?
Well, like I just told the team, and told the media that the bench is new. So everything that they're doing is for the first time. Whether you run out for the game for the first time, whether you're seeing, what we do in the post game, what we do in the pregame, what we do in shoot around, they're starting to get more of a groove now. And I think that, someone like Danielle Robinson is playing half the game. So I think she's getting an opportunity more to spend time, understanding the system. But I like I told the starters, this isn't about, how our bench is playing or not playing. I actually think that statistically, they're holding their own. If we look at this year over last year, I think Danielle Robinson was the one I looked at. It was averaging 7. Renee averaged 7.5. We're at the point where, Kaiser is doing good things for our statistics and our lineup combinations, but she's shooting 13% from the field at one point going into the Atlanta game. That's not who Lynetta Kaiser is. And so we know that there'll be a correction there. And then she came out and made a couple shots against Atlanta. I think that, Tanisha is giving us, again, we look at, the analytics of it is not always just, a point total. It's what your production of your team is when you're on the floor. Tanisha's numbers are very, very good in that regard. She gets it. She understands our players. She understands this league. So that's been very, very helpful to us. We're still trying to find ways to carve out minutes for Chechi. Just had a conversation with her today about that. I want every player, to, in practice time, in shoot arounds, that is not a starter, to force my hand to say, Coach, you got to play me. Not because I walk up to you and say that, but because of what I do in practice, that I look and I go, holy cow, look at Chechi. I got to find minutes for her. And so we had that conversation. It's a young player that, quickly defers. She doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings and what the nicest kid. And we said, that's got to change because she can really play. And I have layers to what our issues are. The second team is down, probably 3 or 4 notches. There are things, that are above that we're solving right now, with an eye on, getting to where we can get some good flow on the bench.
If you'd like to advertise with the show, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. First initial, last name, number 47@gmail.com. Thanks to Free House in North Loop for sponsoring the program. Cheryl's told you about their breakfasts before. My wife really likes their Kolsch, their number one beer. They also have really good shrimp tacos, steak and pierogies, fish and chips. The Roto Bird they're kind of famous for. Caramelized Thai pork, grilled salmon, which I've also had. It's great stuff. I have celiac, so I have to be really careful about menus. The cool thing is a lot of the stuff they can make in that way, but they can also make stuff that non-celiacs will really enjoy. So again, our next show, June 11th, 6 o'clock at Free House on Washington Avenue, North Loop. Please come by and check out the full menu. Check out the wide range of beers, including there's always some experimental stuff. I know Cheryl tested out some of the stuff last time. And check out their full menu, breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour at freehousempls.com. Let's do some Twitter questions after I ask you, because we are talking here on a Thursday afternoon before the NBA finals start. You might listen to this after the first game has been played. So just big picture. I keep hearing from people who say, God, not the Cavaliers and the Warriors again. I'm like, it's LeBron James. It's the best player of his generation against the best team of this generation. Why are you not entertained?
I mean, how do you not be entertained when this athlete has the amount of will and the size of the heart in this guy is it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to witness. And so, how do you not want to go see if he can't put his cape on and overcome such a great team? So I will be highly entertained in tuning into this series.
And as a basketball expert, to me it's also been fascinating that, whether it's the Timberwolves or some other teams in the West, drew a little criticism because maybe they would go ISO in crucial situations, or they go ISO a lot because of the nature of their players. Then you start watching the NBA playoffs and you see teams that are known for their ball movement are going ISO a lot. What do you make of that?
Well, I don't think it was a good idea for Golden State. I think that's what made them unique, and I thought that's what made them difficult to play against, and I thought they kind of got sucked into that in that, you're playing against a Houston team that you have to switch on them, right? Because they got you spread out and they all shoot the three. And so then you're watching the success that they have. And then all of a sudden you start to leave your own identity. That's what I saw with Golden State. And I was happy that in the last game, it seemed like Draymond was more involved in initiating and running plays through him, which is when they're really, really good. You can't escape a Durant 101. When the dude's 7 feet and shoots threes, and
he's always open.
I mean, he's always open, and so you can't escape that. And I don't think it's a bad idea to take advantage of matchups at times, but it can't be your staple. Now we're going to see that with Cleveland. I mean, it's because this again, this is their identity. This is what they do. And if you flood and you come and you help in places, then they're going to space you, and they're going to try to beat you from three. But it's going to be interesting because I think that Golden State got a lot of experience from it, but it's very, very different. LeBron James is a very, very different creature than James Harden.
Draymond did not have a big series, at least until late in the series. Karl Anthony Towns had trouble against Houston. What does Houston do to take centers out of play?
I think their defense has just been really, really good. I enjoyed more than anything was their challenges on the perimeter. I think the shot blocking on the inside, I think positionally Capella's really, really good. I think they're so comfortable at the way that they run guys off the line. And so you'll see that same thing. They better support the paint on LeBron. I love what Boston did to him early. But you're going to have multiple game plans because LeBron is very, very smart. You're going to have to win one game a certain way, and then you got to find a different way because he's going to study that video and he's going to go, okay, I see what was open, and then he's going to beat you the next time you try to do it. So you got to keep them guessing, and I think that. They can make, I know Iguodala's out, and I know it was a big narrative about, without him, but they have a ton of knowledge and ton of experience in playing this team. I do believe that Capella will be I'm sorry, not Capella. My big guy.
Green?
Yeah. Draymond in this series, his shooting, and I don't know, I think they probably can get away with it because